Okay, we're back up and running, folks. We were just cut off of the internet from talking about what seems to be the NSA's effort to squash information. And whenever keywords are mentioned on our show, we go off the air. Now, this is an example. Chris, we're on the phone with Chris over the country here. Hi, Chris.
Hi, everyone.
And go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're doing it because it's me. That's what it is. And they're doing it because you're talking to someone on the inside. That's what it is.
Okay, so you don't mention anything that would in any way jeopardize national security. They just don't want you to talk to people, period. Maybe that's it.
Exactly.
Well, I don't want to endanger your life in any way by talking to you, so...
No, you're fine. You're fine, my friend. Don't worry.
Okay, great.
Don't worry.
Okay, because I really believe that the American people not only have a right to know, but need to know. And I think the problem is we're being kept in the dark as a nation.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I do agree that there should be some stuff open to the people, but not everything. You understand where I'm coming from?
Right. Well, not everything is something that the American people need to talk about. But we do have to talk about things that are obviously front forward, like a war with Syria. We're in the middle of our... Right, we're in the middle of the final hour of our show here, a 4-hour show. We do an anti-war show on Saturdays, everybody. And this is an ongoing effort that doesn't stop because we believe that our country needs awakening and awareness. We need to start thinking about the ramifications of war. And over the past hour, I've been discussing what Syria would do if we were to attack and ultimately cause a war with Syria. We think that it could open up a potential volley between multiple countries, which would somehow lead us to World War III. And I don't want that. And some of these military strategists are so cavalier that they think they can just do whatever they want and get away with it. What's your take?
I agree with you. I agree completely 100% with you. You and I are on the same page, my friend.
Good.
You are on the same page.
Good. I'm glad because I feel the same way about it. And I think that the fact that we both agree on that makes us kind of an unusual group of people gathering on the internet who are centrists, who are in the middle of the political spectrum and believe that a better way is available for America, and uniting America is what we're all about. We don't want to divide the country, we want to unite the country. And we don't do that, we can't do that ultimately if we don't have a plan to expose the dark side of our country. We have to win the independent voters that haven't voted in the previous elections. 34% of our population don't vote and could. We have to activate those people to beat those two parties that are currently entrenched in power.
Right, and I voted for you in the last election. I voted for you in the election before that. So I don't understand what... I just don't get America, how... And I also blame Hurricane Sandy for Obama being in office, and there's a lot of people that could have voted that could not make it to the polls because their homes were damaged, there were no polling stations.
Right.
So,
right, no polling stations.
So I think the election should have been delayed until they could have had decent polling stations or allowed these people to vote via proxy or vote somehow, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So both parties have used tactics. Even Ralph Nader has had lawsuits in 16 states with the Democrats over him getting on the ballot. They did everything they could to prevent Ralph Nader from getting on the ballot. And this is, 8 years ago? And he's still got lawsuits pending. He's been fighting the battle, a third-party battle, and I must tell you that this is a never-ending challenge for all of us. And if many of you think that we're all going to go away because we believe a third party is the way of the future, we aren't. We're going to keep broadcasting. We're going to keep doing YouTube videos and talk about this because we have to stand up to the tyranny that has been laid out in front of us. Now, whenever we talk about these issues in a real way, and we talk about certain things that are clearly going on behind the scrim of the mainstream media and the government, we are cut off the air. We are taken off the air. And this is the first time tonight. Actually, it's the second time tonight. I remember earlier we've been taken off the air and we had to restart the browsers and everything. Apparently, they're using some sort of a distributed denial of service attack on our servers. They blast them with requests. That seems to be what's happening. A DDoS attack. Thank you, Potty and B. I'm glad you're enjoying the after show. I am recording this section because as an anti-war movement, we are going to be generating buzz, and this video will be recorded for eternity and will continue to be seen on the internet. A lot of our videos are not being seen by a lot of people, and that too could be part of the controlled mechanism they're using through Google. Because as we know, NSA works directly with Google, and they work directly with Facebook, and they can control hits on videos, or at least the number of times people are hitting. So the number counter may actually be staying in one position, yet people may be seeing our show. I don't know. You watch my videos, and it doesn't show the views. That's right. Potty and B is an example of that. Potty and B checks out our videos, and he's in the room right now, and it doesn't increase the numbers, even past his view. Because even if it recognizes your IP address, it still won't even give you one counter mark on our videos. So our videos are purposely being suppressed in terms of numbers so it doesn't generate buzz or virality. Go ahead.
And it does the same thing with me. It does the same thing with me, and I'm connected in the YouTube community. As you know, I'm friends with some people that used to work with Blog TV. I don't know, there's an actress in New York City that we both know. I won't mention her name in anonymity, but she's a very nice young lady, and she said, I think showed her your video, and it doesn't out. And when I go to my channel, he said, you don't get many views at all. It's not at 10.
Yep.
And yet there's like 20, 40 people looking at it.
Yeah, I've seen this happen numerous times, and we're aware of this tactic they're using and technique they're using. We have incurred this in many different levels, so we know that this anti-war rally is stirring some people up, and they are watching what we're doing because they don't want anyone to stop their powerful control over the monetary system and over war. Now, earlier today, we were discussing how the monetary system is inextricably connected to war. And we talked about how it's been going on for a long, long time, where wars are basically financed, and both sides end up profiting one person, one financier. People are being exploited. Young men who go off to battle are being killed in the crossfire of other battles that shouldn't even be fought. Vietnam was a classic waste of our effort. 58,000 men died, as well as some women. And of course, we lost all those innocent civilians in the crossfire. We're talking about 4 million Southeast Asians. And then you bring us forward in time to Iraq and Gulf War I and Gulf War II, and you're looking at a loss of up to a million people. And we're talking about 1 million people dead because we decided to invade Iraq. Okay? And a lot of people, a lot of our troops have died, 6,000 in total between Afghanistan and Iraq. And I was talking about how it affects everybody. You know, we're getting change, all right. We're getting the NSA breathing down our neck on our show. We're getting the NSA watching us in our daily life, watching our phone calls, listening in, watching all of the transmissions that are going on through Skype. We're basically getting a heavy dose. Not just us, mind you. All of you watching this video are being watched on a daily basis. It goes through a server in Bluffdale, Utah. And that server is a brand new building. $2 billion they spent. Over $2 billion. And they built this thing to manage all of this information. Now, why are they watching Americans so closely? Because they don't want anyone to get out of line. And they certainly don't want a third party to form. That's why they're doing this. And it's not like they really know what they're doing because they're following orders. Now, I'm not going to mention any of the key words I said earlier because that triggers an algorithm. We don't want to get shut off again because we're in the middle of a recording. But it's more than likely this is being done by automation. And if there is a person behind it, somewhere out there, he's probably just put us on a low burner and saying, yeah, well, we'll just watch this guy and see what he does. Frankly, folks, we have no bad feelings about our country. We support our government at America's Third Party, and we want to change it from within. There's nothing wrong with what we're doing, and we've done this on a daily basis for 4 years now, going on 5. And it's not going to stop because the American people really believe that what we need is a party like this. It's not going to just go away. We're not going to be scared away either by the threat of them watching us.
Right, and don't take me not being on the show all the time as an abandonment.
No.
I have other stuff. I am a full-fledged member of this party, and will always be.
Absolutely.
No matter what I have to do.
Thank you.
Well,
thank you very much, Hoppy. I appreciate that. We're talking to Christopher Komsky, and he's very knowledgeable about what's going on, and he's more than willing to give his 2 bits on issues regarding Syria. Obviously, we're waiting to see what the UN finds in Syria. I believe that they're probably going to face some sort of a gun battle, and there probably will be a real need for our country to step in and send Tomahawk missiles in. It's going to be something like that, I think. Because I still think in the back of the mind of Barack Obama and Joe Biden, they want a war with Syria. I really believe that.
But I hope the UN says only limited strike. That's what I hope. Is the UN says, here there's 2 targets, that's all you're allowed to hit, and nothing else, you know?
Well, if the UN
that's
said
what I
that,
want.
the UN may not even have the right to say anything because it may become a NATO issue. NATO's always been pulled into battles, and we comprise 75% of NATO forces. They've been pulled in, and they usually take over policy when the UN steps back. Now, I don't know if we're getting any accountability from the UN regarding who the source of the chemical gas was. But at this point, the Russians believe that it was probably the rebels that got it from the U.S., that the signature was U.S. signature on that chemical gas.
Yep.
You want to say something about that, or?
No, I'm just giving you a signal today.
You can't talk.
Algorithm.
Oh, you can't talk about that. Okay. Then we'll change now. Thank you. We'll change the subject. Obviously, we don't want to go into that because it's still being reviewed by the UN. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out what the final decree is, and we may never know who caused the deaths in Damascus. But we can tell you that in the outcome of all of this, we're not going to be able to stop Bashar al-Assad. He has 350 planes capable of attacking at any time any of the countries around him, and he has the ability to defend. And I showed people earlier what he has in his arsenal, and people acted like it was no big deal, but it really is quite a big deal when we're looking at the potential for the S-300 being deployed. And the S-300 is a very, very capable anti-ballistic mobile platform that was sold to Damascus and sold to Bashar al-Assad by the Russians just last year, or this year, early on. It was delivered. Let me see if I can bring that up. Yeah, I don't have it on me right now. It was in the show earlier. But I can tell you that if we allow this to continue, this talk of war from Syria and with Syria, it'll just foment into the real thing. I mean, you talk about something long enough and eventually it happens. Okay, and RIP Blog TV says, sometimes I go to videos and it just doesn't play, but it's not deleted. Yeah, that happens. And thank you guys for telling me about what happens when my videos are not seen, or when they are seen and the number doesn't increase. Louis, hi, welcome. Louis, our guy from England over at Battlecam. Yeah, we're just doing an anti-war rally here, and we've done it for the past 3.5 hours, and I'm taking it for a 4-hour run. Simply because I am very convinced that our government does want war, and I'm very convinced that the American people do not. 90% thereabouts have been polled and do not want war with Syria. So we believe that this effort is the very least we can do as American citizens to at least put a wrench in their little game plan. You know, we don't want them to have a free, unfettered reign over the entire world and the terror that they create with war. We want to at least help them realize that they've got resistance in this country to the idea of war. I'm not going to step up and support this concept unless I actually believe that our nation is threatened. Now, I believe that this guy, John Kerry, who I have on the screen right now, he looks like one of the devil's henchmen in this picture. You can see it right here. It's disturbing. You see it? You look at his eyes. I mean, it's like this guy is like hell-bent on creating a war. And as a Secretary of State, acting recklessly like he is, he should have known better when he put that word out that the attack came from Bashar al-Assad, when Russia had already produced a 100-page report, et cetera, about the attack that happened. So let the UN decide, but I still believe that we've got a problem. And it could happen with the UN. It could be some sort of an attack on the UN, God forbid, because I really think those people are trying to do their best. They're not going to do their best because they're in the middle of a crossfire between rebel al-Qaeda forces and Syria's main army. Now, we don't believe that our country should support rebel al-Qaeda forces. Yet not a lot of people in our country even know that the rebels in Syria are descendants of al-Qaeda and the groups that have been putting together all these attacks in Libya. Basically, we took our game plan right out of the playbook from Libya and went right into Syria. And that's created a huge problem for us, both politically around the world, and I believe it could trigger an economic crisis. That's my opinion. Yeah.
I would like to see our money back, like silver or gold or a mixture of gold, silver, and oil.
Me too. Me too. I'd like to see a broad spectrum backing to the U.S. dollar. I'd like to see some support from the very essence of what we do create. We've got a lot of resources in this country. We don't need to run around creating a war. I've got a sign here that really typifies what we've got here with Barack Obama. He promised us a recession is when your neighbor loses his job. Depression is when you lose yours. Recovery is when Obama loses his. So when we get done with Obama and we get beyond Obama, we're going to be dealing with the real problems of sorting this whole thing out and coming up with a better plan for America. And a lot of you may be watching this video in recorded version and wonder what happened back here on October 5th, 2013. Well, the American people did stand up to war. We did stop everything we could using the thing the mainstream media can't touch, the blogosphere. We did what the mainstream media can't do, and that's talk about the issues.
Exactly.
All right, so everybody has a goal to keep their own happy place together in America. Everyone has their own little happy world, but not a lot of people are preparing for the worst. Not a lot of people are stocking their shelves with enough food and supplies and fresh water. And if in the event a war occurs and there's a shortage in the oil supply coming out of the Middle East, we're not doing Tiny Chat here today, Louis. We're actually segueing to another network on Monday. We're going to be working on another network. Tiny Chat's going to become a thing of the past for our show. Yeah, that's okay, but you can get into the other network coming up. It's going to be streamup.com. Yeah, you can get in there, and it has a very high quality video stream produced, so you can actually, yeah, it's really cool. And these guys are cutting edge, and I just talked to their design team last night, and they're really working on a great site. It's not going to have any advertising. That's their initial model, and they're going to offer people a way to monetize their shows. So we might even do an after show. Seriously, we might do an after show where we actually have a pay-per-view kind of thing to people that want to go in and have a personal chat with us on that network. That's one of the things we're thinking of, because that might help us generate revenue, because they're like a small admission fee of like $1.99 or something per day might get us some extra revenue for our party and the development of our party. Our link is third-party. Streamup.com/third-party.
is there something that me and you can work out on for the funding, or lack of funding for me on that? Or how can we, if you're going to do a pay-per-view kind of thing, is there a way I can, how does that work, you know?
Well, at this point, we don't even know, because it's right now in the talking stage. But it is something that we could do in the future, and I'm thinking that might be the way to go. We are just going to continue doing what we do and keep rolling out videos every single day. I hope all of you are not bored by this discussion of anti-war rallies, but we are of the belief that the country needs to unite on all levels. If you're a Democrat and thought that the Democrats didn't support war and found out that they do, Biden, Obama, and Kerry all support war. If this is a shocker to you, because I know it was a shocker in some rooms, they're saying, no, that's not true. Biden would never support. No, Biden is supporting a war in Syria. And if you're one of those Republicans that really knows that our country is wasting money on war financially, and you're a fiscal conservative, you're going to like our party, because it really combines both fiscal conservative theories with the concept of no war, cutting back on the expenses our country's facing. We spent $1.6 trillion on the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. That's the number so far, and we're not even done paying for it. It's bad, very bad.
And we spend like $3 trillion on tiny wars, they call black wars.
All the black wars, $3 trillion on the black wars. Yeah, great. Well, I got to tell you.
Each month.
Oh yeah, it goes back. Right. Well, I think talking to a person who's keyed in on what's happening is really helpful for all of our levels of knowledge, and I appreciate the call, Chris, because that's something that we can always talk about, and I think it gives you a sense of at least using your knowledge base to help, because you're not in any way violating national law, you're not in any way giving out secrets that cannot be divulged, and I really appreciate you just opening in the discussion and talking. At the very least, we can at least find out why our leaders are thinking of a war that could turn into a nuclear conflagration, because I don't believe that we need to go down that road.
I agree. I completely agree with you.
Great. Well, thank you everybody for watching the recorded version. I'm going to drop out of that, and you guys can catch us 6 to 9 every night except Sunday. Go to americasthirdparty.com and tweet us at Third Party. Thanks.